At the end of the 19th century, photography emerged as a crucial tool for documenting various aspects of society, including everyday scenes on the American frontier. Among the captured images are those of prostitutes in their personal environments. These women often posed for the cameras, revealing a glimpse into their world. During the 1870s, a notable innovation in transportation marked the history of Death Valley. The extraction of borax, a precious mineral, required creative solutions to cross the vast and arid desert of the Great Basin. To overcome this challenge, powerful caravans were formed, each driven by an impressive team of 20 mules. These strong animals became essential for transporting the borax through the desert's challenging conditions. In the image, Black Elk appears on the left and is a prominent figure in two important moments in United States history. He participated in the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876, a famous clash between American forces and various Great Plains tribes, including the Lakota Sioux. Quanah Parker, an iconic figure among the Comanches, had a life full of meaning and challenges. The son of Cynthia Ann Parker, a white woman who was captured as a child and raised by the Comanches, Quanah stood out as a leader of his people during turbulent times. He became one of the main figures in the Comanches' struggle to defend their lands against the invasion of buffalo hunters, which threatened their traditional way of life. The photograph shows two women in an elegant pose inside a luxuriously adorned room of a brothel in Miles, Montana. At that time, a local judge characterized the town, which had about 1,000 inhabitants, as famous for its moral decadence and lack of law and order. The photograph captures a cowboy from Caldwell, Kansas, displaying the typical attire adapted to the needs of his activity and the environment in which he works. Cowboys, always mindful of the weather and terrain, opted to wear chaps, robust coverings over their pants, to protect their legs while working. This photograph is known for being the last photographic record of George Armstrong Custer, famous for his penchant for being in front of the cameras. Throughout his life, Custer posed for more than 150 photos. This one in particular was taken just 2 months before one of the most significant episodes in United States history, the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876. In the 1850s, the introduction of the ambrotype, a more accessible image printed on a glass plate, began to surpass daguerreotypes, a pioneering photographic technique. Although it is unknown who the man depicted in this specific ambrotype is, the image is seen as one of the most fascinating portraits of the American Old West. During a break in their journey through Greenwood County, Kansas, a group of pioneers gathers around their covered wagon for an outdoor lunch. This type of wagon was essential for those who traveled long distances in search of new lands and opportunities at that time. Joella Irwin is an emblematic figure in the world of rodeo, being one of the first cowgirls to stand out in the early 20th century. During this period, women began to carve out their space in territories previously dominated by men, such as equestrian competitions and rodeos. Joella made history by competing in a variety of events, where her skill and dexterity set her apart from her peers. This cabinet card, dating from 1884, represents a common type of photography at the time and shows an image captured at the San Carlos Reservation in Arizona. It is particularly significant because it is believed to be the first photo ever taken of Geronimo, one of the most prominent and respected figures among the Apache, who later became a widely recognized cultural icon. Jesse James is a legendary figure of the American Old West, known for being the most emblematic member of the notorious James Younger Gang. During his life, Jesse stood out as a leader of a series of robberies and criminal activities. His trajectory ended abruptly and tragically in 1882 when he was assassinated. Kit Carson stood out as a legendary personality during the era of United States territorial expansion. His life was marked by diverse adventures, acting on multiple fronts. He was widely recognized for his work as a fur trapper and explorer, and was also an exceptional mountaineer. Carson became even more famous for serving as a guide for John Pathfinder Fremont, one of America's most famous explorers. The photograph, captured around 1880, features figures whose identities have not yet been fully unveiled. Historians suggest that the standing individual in the image could be John Kinney, known for his exploits in the criminal underworld. In 1875, Kinney rose to criminal fame by leading a notorious gang of thieves operating in southern New Mexico. Pearl Hart was a notable figure of the Old West, famous for participating in one of the last recorded stagecoach robberies in 1899. This daring act not only immortalized her in history, but also made her a nationally renowned figure, especially after her story was widely publicized by Cosmopolitan magazine. Rose Dunn, also known by the poetic nickname Rose of Cimarron, achieved remarkable notoriety at the age of 15. The episode that catapulted her to fame occurred in 1895 in the small town of Ingalls, located in the then wild Oklahoma Territory. During a confrontation, she allegedly made a bold decision to help her boyfriend, a well-known outlaw, who was caught in a crossfire between the police and a group of criminals. Texas John Slaughter is a notable name in American history, first gaining fame as a Texas Ranger in the Civil War before establishing himself as a prosperous cattle rancher. After the war, he set up his final ranch near Douglas, Arizona. An iconic photograph from 1885 well illustrates this phase of his life, standing as a faithful portrait of his involvement and contributions during that period. Olive Oatman is known for her incredible journey of resilience and adaptation. Captured by the Mojave tribe, Olive lived among them, and as part of her integration, received a distinctive blue tattoo on her chin. This tattoo, made with cactus ink, was an important Mojave ritual, symbolizing the belief that it would help ensure a peaceful passage to the afterlife. The Texas Rangers were an iconic law enforcement agency in Texas, with historical roots extending back to the early 19th century. Originally formed informally in 1823 by Stephen Austin, they only gained official status in 1835. Throughout Texan history, the Rangers stood out in capturing criminals and protecting the state's borders, playing a vital role in regional security and law. This newly discovered image offers a rare and fascinating perspective, showing a woman who appears to be a cattle rancher in the American Old West. The discovery of this photograph was made by Mark Lee Gardner, who found it by chance in an antique shop in Missouri. Tiburcio Vasquez is one of the most notorious figures in the history of Hispanic bandits of the Old West. His criminal trajectory, which spanned nearly 20 years, included theft, robbery, and other illegal activities. The photograph in question, believed to have been taken around 1865, not only made him famous for his crimes, but also for his ability to evade authorities and his influence among other criminals of the time. Cowboys, iconic figures of the Old West and essential in managing cattle herds, often frequented photography studios. During these visits, they made a point of being photographed wearing their favorite work clothes, ensuring that their images would be immortalized. Bill Doolin, a famous criminal of the Oklahoma Territory, topped the most wanted list due to a lucrative reward for his capture. In August 1896, his criminal career came to a violent end. He was killed after being hit by approximately 20 bullets during a confrontation with Heck Thomas, a well-known U.S. Marshal. At the burial of Tom McLaury, Frank McLaury, and Billy Clanton, an impactful message was carried by the attendees: "Murdered in the streets of Tombstone." This slogan highlighted the painful loss that occurred during one of the most iconic episodes of the Old West, the infamous gunfight at the OK Corral in 1881, marking the occasion with a note of profound sadness and indignation. Kate Rockwell, a prominent entertainer, shone while performing for the miners of Alaska between the late 19th and early 20th centuries. With a repertoire full of popular dances and songs of that era, she won the admiration of her audience. Known for her vibrant performances, Kate often performed wearing elegant red chiffon dresses, adding a touch of glamour to the rugged Alaskan landscapes. In this photograph from 1865, we see Wild Bill Hickok, often remembered as the bravest gunfighter of the Old West, wearing his usual clothes, in contrast to other photos where he appears in more theatrical attire. This image captures a truer look at Hickok's personal style and fashion choices at that time. In 1876, at the heart of the era of great cattle drives, a photograph in Dodge City, Kansas, captured Bat Masterson and Wyatt Earp together. These two famous lawmen of the Old West are immortalized in this portrait, which highlights the importance of their partnership during a significant period in American history.